everyone. So for today's explainer, we're diving into a modern scientific mystery that, well, literally affects every single one of us. We're looking at a story that bridges massive global environmental changes right down to the microscopic inner workings of our own biology. It's time to track down an omnipresent intruder.
I want you to just take a second and imagine something. What if I told you that every time you take a deep breath, every single sip of water you drink to hydrate yourself, and every meal you sit down to eat, you might be swallowing tiny, invisible intruders?
And I'm not talking about a rare occurrence here. This is an exposure that happens not once, not just occasionally, but every single day of your life. We're talking about microscopic pieces of plastic that have become entirely relentless and honestly completely unavoidable in our modern world. Which brings us to the core question driving some of the most fascinating and, frankly, most urgent scientific research happening right now. How did a material that was engineered to be nearly indestructible, designed to sit on a shelf for hundreds of years, become an intimate part of the human body in just a few short decades? Well, to figure that out, we have to follow the plastic.
Chapter 1. The Plastic Rain.
Okay, picture this. You're walking in a pristine, untouched forest, miles away from any road, factory, or city. You take a deep breath, thinking the air is perfectly clean, but you're actually inhaling invisible fibers. Look, we all know about plastic bottles floating in the ocean, right? But the real story is so much smaller. Microplastics break down into nanoplastics, which are thousands of times thinner than a single human hair. They're so incredibly tiny, they actually become airborne. They travel on global winds, ride ocean currents, until it is quite literally raining plastic all around the globe.
Chapter 2. Journey into your body.
So how does this completely saturated environment actually affect our internal biology? Think of a single plastic water bottle. You throw it away, and maybe it ends up in the ocean. Over years, harsh ultraviolet sunlight weakens its chemical bonds. The relentless pounding of ocean waves physically grinds it down. What was once a bottle becomes millions of microscopic fragments. A fish eats those fragments. You eat the fish. Or maybe the plastic just ends up in your tap water, your table salt, or floats through the air right into your lungs.
Normally, when we ingest something like a tiny pebble, our body just passes it. No big deal. But these plastic particles are so unimaginably small that they don't just pass through our digestive tract, they actually cross biological barriers. Just look at these electron microscopy images. They show solid, refractile plastic particles that have successfully lodged themselves deep inside human liver and kidney tissues. They've officially moved from the outside world directly into our vital organs.
Chapter 3. Breaching the Brain. Now, finding plastic in filtering organs like the liver is one thing, but that brings us to biology's ultimate security system. The human brain is heavily guarded by something called the blood-brain barrier. This is an incredibly selective, highly evolved network of blood vessels and tissues. Its entire evolutionary job is to act as an impenetrable fortress, protecting our most vital organ by keeping pathogens, toxins, and dangerous substances out, while only letting the good nutrients in.
And yet, in a jaw-dropping 2025 study published in Nature Medicine, scientists analyzing human brain tissue collected during autopsies found exactly what you're seeing here: refractile plastic inclusions. The fortress has been breached. Plastic has infiltrated human brain tissue. And get this, researchers found these microplastics in absolutely every single brain sample they examined.
What's even more staggering is the comparison. You'd probably think the liver, being the body's main filter, would hold the most plastic, right? But the data actually shows that brain samples contained exponentially higher concentrations of plastic particles. We're talking anywhere from 7 to 30 times greater than what was found in the liver or the kidneys. So the brain isn't just being passively exposed to these particles, it appears to be actively accumulating them.
Just to put a concrete number on it, the median concentration of plastics found in normal brain samples collected in 2024 was 4,917 micrograms per gram of tissue. Researchers also looked back at samples collected just 8 years earlier, in 2016. Those 2024 samples represented a roughly 50% increase in plastic mass compared to 2016. So, as environmental plastic pollution grows exponentially out in the world, it looks like our internal bodily concentrations are rising right along with it.
And what exactly is sitting inside the brain? A massive 75% of the plastic detected is polyethylene. This is the single most common plastic produced in the world. It's the exact same material used to make single-use grocery bags and food packaging. So yes, that Tupperware container you lost the lid to a decade ago might literally be residing inside your neural pathways right now.
Chapter 4. The Dementia Connection.
Whenever we talk about foreign substances entering the brain, the immediate question is obviously neurological health. Researchers examined brain samples from patients who had been diagnosed with dementia. In these specific samples, microscopy showed that these refractal plastic inclusions were highly visible, and they were prominently gathered in regions associated with inflammatory immune cells sitting right along the vascular walls.
When they actually quantified the plastic, the results were pretty striking. While normal brains had that median concentration of just under 5,000 micrograms per gram, the brain samples from dementia cases exhibited vastly higher concentrations. The number jumped to over 26,000 micrograms per gram. That is a massive, massive difference in the amount of accumulated plastic.
But here is a crucial scientific reality we absolutely have to remember. Correlation does not equal causation. Finding exponentially higher levels of plastic in a dementia-affected brain does not prove that the plastic caused the disease. It is entirely possible and scientifically plausible that a brain suffering from dementia experiences tissue atrophy and a weakened blood-brain barrier, which simply allows more plastic to passively enter and accumulate. The presence of the plastic is a fact, but the mechanism and the blame? That's still completely unknown.
Chapter 5. Should you panic? Look, all of this naturally leads to a bit of anxiety. Hearing that everyday plastic is inside your brain is terrifying. So let's step back, separate the sensationalist headlines from the honest science, and figure out if we should actually panic. Here's what scientists definitively know. Microplastics are inside our organs and our brains. We also know from lab studies that high doses of these plastics can trigger inflammation and disrupt cells in a petri dish. But here's the massive unknown. Scientists do not yet know the long-term danger to living, breathing humans at our current, everyday exposure levels. Humans aren't lab mice, and researchers do not yet know if these particles directly cause human diseases. That uncertainty isn't always reassuring, I know, but it is honest science.
It really forces us to reflect on the deep irony of our modern age. Plastic completely changed the world for the better in so many ways because of its miraculous qualities. It's incredibly cheap to make, phenomenally strong, perfectly lightweight, and almost entirely indestructible. But those exact same qualities, the very reasons we put it everywhere, are the precise reasons it now permanently resides everywhere, including inside of us.
I want to bring you back to the microscopic scale one last time. Under an electron microscope, we can see these tiny, jagged flakes representing the end-stage degradation of our modern convenience. This right here is what a water bottle looks like at the very end of its life, resting quietly inside human tissue.
So we end on a profound, unresolved question. The mystery is no longer whether plastic enters our bodies. We know for a fact it does. The real question is, will future generations look back at microplastics the way we now look back at asbestos and lead, viewing it as a tragic public health disaster? Or will scientific discovery reveal that human biology is vastly more resilient and adaptable to our most pervasive invention than we ever could have imagined? That's a question we are all living through the answer to right now.